The chilled pork has reached the packaging line, where each cut will be prepared for distribution. Each pork cut begins its final packaging journey on a food-grade tray.
Pork loin requires the same careful handling, but its shape and portion size are different.
And pork belly is immediately recognizable by its distinctive layers of meat and fat. Once portioned, the pork moves into the sealing stage. A transparent food-grade film is prepared to seal each pork portion.
For many pork products, removing excess air helps protect the meat during refrigerated storage and transport.
The result is a sealed package in which the pork remains clearly visible.
The seal itself is checked because a damaged package can compromise the pork inside.
Packaging line checks both the meat and the package surrounding it. Each package is identified so the pork can be tracked through the distribution system.
Different cuts receive different identification because pork does not leave the plant as one single product.
The label tells the next part of the supply chain exactly which pork cut is inside. At this point, the pork has become a standardized, retail-ready package. Quality control gives the finished package another human inspection before it leaves the production floor. Weight is another basic check because portions must match their intended specifications. The same principle applies to different cuts, including pork belly. Before storage, finished pork packages pass through another automated inspection point. Once the packages pass inspection, they can move toward refrigerated storage. The packaging line now feeds directly into the cold chain.
From individual packages, the pork becomes an organized, refrigerated shipment.
Stretch film stabilizes the pallet so hundreds of pork packages can move together. The finished pork now leaves the packaging room and enters refrigerated storage. Temperature control continues after packaging because the cold chain does not end at the sealing machine. Inside the cold warehouse, thousands of pork packages wait for distribution. Temperature is monitored continuously to protect the pork while it waits for shipment.
Inventory is organized by pork cut, shipment, and destination.
Some pork packages will remain in storage, while others are already scheduled for distribution. The next destination is no longer the processing plant, but the refrigerated distribution network. From a living pig on an Iowa farm to a sealed package of pork, the first half of the journey is complete. Next, the pork is now sealed, chilled, and ready to enter the American distribution network.
The cold chain begins immediately after the pork leaves the processing plant.
Maintaining the right temperature is essential as the pork moves farther from the farm. The processing plant is behind them. Now the pork enters a distribution center built to move refrigerated products across the country. The truck is checked in before the pork is transferred into the warehouse. Inside the trailer, hundreds of pork packages are still held inside the refrigerated environment. The pallets are transferred from the truck into the distribution center without breaking the cold chain. Multiple pallets can be moved quickly because the distribution center is designed for continuous refrigerated logistics. Every pork package can be scanned and tracked as it moves through the distribution system. The same tracking process applies to every pork cut. Pork belly is tracked separately because different cuts can travel to different customers. Inside the distribution center, organization becomes just as important as refrigeration. Thousands of pork packages can be stored and redirected from a single distribution facility. The warehouse continuously monitors temperature because refrigerated pork cannot simply be left at room temperature.
Behind the movement of every pallet is another system: scheduling.
The warehouse decides where each shipment of pork needs to go next.
Some pork leaves the warehouse within hours of arriving. Other shipments are routed according to regional demand. Final destination can determine which pork cuts leave the warehouse together.
The pork is loaded again, but this time the destination is closer to the consumer. Next journey is shorter, but the cold chain remains just as important. From the regional distribution center, the pork moves towards stores that serve local communities. The farm-to-store journey is now approaching its final stage. At the supermarket, the pork enters one final controlled environment before reaching shoppers. The sealed pork is unloaded directly into the store's refrigerated receiving system. The store's cold room becomes the final storage point before the pork reaches the shelf. The packages are checked one more time before entering the retail display. For the first time in the journey, the pork is placed where an ordinary shopper can see it. What began as a pig on an Iowa farm is now a clearly labeled package of pork, waiting for a decision.
From thousands of pigs on an Iowa farm to one package in a shopping cart, the journey of pork has crossed farms, factories, cold storage, and highways to reach the consumer. In the heart of Iowa, one of America's largest agricultural regions, an enormous pork production system begins with a single animal.
Behind the pork on supermarket shelves is a carefully organized system that operates every day.
This is where the final stage of pig farming begins. Every day begins with people checking the animals and the environment around them.
Good pork production starts with healthy animals, clean water, proper feed, and constant observation. Feed is one of the most important systems supporting growth from young pig to market weight. Feed must arrive reliably because thousands of animals depend on the system every day.
Behind the pigs is another system, storing and delivering the ingredients that become their feed. Corn and soybean-based ingredients are major parts of the feed system supporting American pork production.
But feeding is only one part of managing a farm with thousands of animals.
Animal health is monitored continuously because a large farm depends on the condition of every group. Water systems have to work continuously because pigs need reliable access to clean drinking water. Housing conditions are another important part of maintaining a healthy herd.
Ventilation controls temperature, air movement, and the environment inside the barns.
After months of growth, the animals eventually reach the point where the farm prepares them for the next stage. Moving thousands of pigs requires preparation, coordination, and controlled movement.
The animals are guided through a controlled pathway toward transportation.
The design of the corridor helps keep the animals moving in one direction without unnecessary stress. From the barn, the pigs now enter the transportation stage. Inside the trailer, ventilation and space become important during the journey. Once loading is complete, the trailer is secured before departure. The truck is checked before it carries the animals onto the road. The trailer is designed specifically for transporting live pigs safely over long distances. Now the driver takes control of the next part of the journey. Pigs are now entering the transportation network that connects farms with processing plants. Iowa's farms are connected by a vast agricultural transportation network.
Every mile brings the pigs closer to the next stage of the pork production system. But the farm is only one part of a much larger journey, from pig to pork.
Ahead is the next stage of the journey, a facility built to transform thousands of pigs into the pork products that eventually reach consumers.
After the long journey from the Iowa farm, the pigs arrive at the first controlled area of the processing plant. The receiving area is designed specifically for live pigs, not finished pork.
At a facility this large, receiving begins with organization and verification.
Inspection and records connect the animals arriving from the farm with the next controlled stage. At the plant, information about the incoming pigs becomes part of the processing record. The physical layout of the receiving area is designed to move pigs safely and efficiently. The pigs now move from transportation into the plant's controlled livestock handling system. The pigs follow a carefully controlled path deeper into the receiving area. At this stage, the animals are still unmistakably pigs, but their environment has changed completely.
The receiving team monitors both the animals and the system moving them forward.
Inspection continues as the pigs move through the controlled receiving process. The holding area gives the plant another controlled point before primary processing begins. Water remains important even after the pigs arrive at the plant.
Every part of the holding environment has to remain controlled.
Between groups of animals, sanitation helps maintain the controlled environment.
From holding, the pigs move toward the primary processing area. Beyond this door, the environment changes. From livestock handling to pork processing. The transition between zones is carefully controlled. Inside the primary processing area, the goal is to transform the live animal stage into a controlled pork processing workflow. Every station is prepared before the main processing sequence begins.
Specialized equipment carries the process from one stage to the next. Water and sanitation systems are built directly into the workflow.
At this scale, preparation itself becomes a carefully coordinated operation. Before processing begins, the environment itself must meet strict cleanliness requirements. Only after the area is prepared can the next stage move forward. The factory is now ready to begin the transformation from pig to pork.
From this point forward, the process is no longer about raising pigs.
It is about producing pork consistently, safely, and efficiently. Thousands of individual actions now become one continuous pork processing system. And now the real transformation begins. The journey from live pig to carefully processed pork.
The transformation from pig to pork now moves into the plant's most specialized processing stages.
At this scale, every stage is designed around consistency, sanitation, and controlled movement. Water plays a critical role in keeping processing equipment clean throughout the operation. People remain responsible for monitoring the machines that move the process forward. After primary processing, the pork moves through controlled cleaning and preparation stages.
The surface is cleaned as the pork continues along the controlled line.
At each checkpoint, workers verify that the process is operating as intended. Quality inspection becomes another layer between processing and the final pork product. The inspection is recorded, so the process remains traceable. From here, temperature control becomes one of the most important parts of the process. The pork now enters a controlled chilling environment. Cooling slows biological activity and helps protect the quality of the pork. Inside the cold room, temperature is measured continuously rather than guessed. Maintaining the cold chain requires people, as well as refrigeration equipment. Equipment creates the cold environment, while people verify that it remains within the required conditions. After sufficient chilling, the pork can move toward the next major transformation. The chilled carcass now enters the area where it will be divided into recognizable pork cuts. This is where one chilled carcass becomes many different cuts of pork. Skilled workers guide the pork through precise cutting and trimming stages. One of the first recognizable cuts is the pork shoulder, valued for its balance of muscle and fat. Trimming shapes the cut while preserving the characteristics that make pork different from one cut to another.
Cut now moves from one specialist to another.
Pork loin follows a different shape and trimming pattern from the shoulder. Pork belly is immediately recognizable by its distinctive layers of muscle and fat. A single animal can become many different cuts, each prepared for a different purpose. Sorting keeps each pork cut moving toward the correct downstream process. Before packaging, the pork cuts are checked again for consistency and quality.
The information recorded here follows the pork into the next stage.
The chilled and sorted pork is now ready for the next transformation, packaging. pork has been processed, chilled, sorted, and inspected. Now it is ready to become the packaged product consumers recognize.